You had me at hello, 'cause where you go is where I go. I don't need nobody else. I got you, and you got me too. You can ride all the blue. I wanna do what you want to.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we are doing the long overdue video of the laundry room makeover. I'm so excited to be sharing this with you. As you can see, this is the before. Very bland, nothing really going on here, and I've been wanting to make over this room for so long, and we finally did it. And you'll have to stay tuned to the end because it's a complete transformation, and I love how it turned out. It turned out even better than I imagined. But if you're new here, I'm Becca. I'm a single mom to 3 boys, and I would love for you to hit that subscribe button. If you like motherhood, lifestyle, decorating content, you will love my channel. We're getting into it and we're getting everything cleared out of here so we can really get down to the nitty gritty and start making over this room. All right, y'all, it's real gross back here. I'm gonna have to dive in here and try and get this clean. I'm gonna try and get the washer out a little bit too, but I know the washer is very heavy, so I'm not sure how well I'm gonna be able to do that. But just to let you know before we go any further, I'm gonna clean underneath there, try and get behind the washer as well as best as I can. And then we're gonna take this thing down and then we'll start painting. I'm super excited. Just to let you know too, we are going to paint this wall, and I have a cabinet to hang right there, and I'm gonna hang a support for the cabinet so it's easier to hang. But you know, all of these holes that are here from this stuff, I'm gonna have to patch up myself afterwards. I wanna see like what you can see, what's visible. Even though I'm gonna paint this wall, I'll have to patch up holes and just touch up those paint spots. But I wanna make sure that I get like behind the cabinet and everything really well. I feel like if I hang the cabinet and try and paint around the cabinet, that's gonna be way more difficult. So we're gonna go ahead and paint it. I'd rather just patch and do touch-ups afterwards. So that is what we are going to do.
And you got me too. We can always make it through. What we do is what we do. I can take you anywhere, somewhere. We won't be scared. Staring into your blue eyes. We don't need nobody else.
Okay, so I'm really struggling with trying to get these things out. They're not screws, so you kind of have to pull them out, but I don't have a tool to like really grab onto them to yank them out. So I'm struggling. I'm kind of just hitting the struggle bus today. I can't get the washer moved. I can't get these things out. It's super frustrating that everything I, am trying to do is like causing a problem. But this is a part of DIY, and I'm just being honest with you guys and real with you guys. Like, this is always a part of it. I always hit hiccups, and if you're a DIYer, you always usually do with every project. There's something you weren't expecting. I didn't know anything about these wire shelves. I've never dealt with them before, so I already knew going into it, it was gonna be kind of foreign, but there is a lot, as you can tell. So I need to find something to be able to get them off. Okay, so I went to Lowe's and picked up these pliers, and thankfully they worked. I got some out, so I am just so happy that I was able to get pliers. They come out so much easier. They're not screws, they're not nails. They're like, well, they're kind of like screw nails. I don't know how to explain it. But when you pull out this thing right here, right? It's taking this, see, that's what it looks like, right? And then when you pull out this, see how that's like that, but if the screw's still in there, it won't allow that to close to come out of the wall, and it would just make an even bigger hole. So perfect. So happy I found that.
And you got me too. I've been saving you, and you save me too.
Now that we got that all off the wall, I'm gonna go ahead and take this painter's tape, this cool little contraption thing that makes it a little bit easier. I got off Amazon. I will link everything that I possibly can link from this video. I will link down below, but I'm going to put the tape on the wall before we paint. I don't always do painter's tape when I'm doing a paint project, but I've been doing it more and more lately because it gives the effortless, like, I'm able to just kind of paint and not have to worry too much about, like, you know, hitting the edge of the wall or anything like that. So sometimes I feel like it slows me down to use the tape because you're putting the tape on the wall and that slows you down. Either way, it's time consuming, whether you don't tape and you go slow or you tape. All right, now we are about to paint the wall. This is the color I have right here. It's a Sherwin-Williams color. I got it in satin. I love a satin finish. It's called Wooden. I don't even know how to say that word, but I'll leave it linked in the description box down below. I always get the Valspar paint and primer, the signature paint and primer. This is my favorite to use. Even though this is a Sherwin-Williams color, what you can do is you can go in and go to the paint section and say, I want Sherwin-Williams, whatever color, in this paint can, and they'll, you know, do that color and all of that. Super easy, way more affordable than Sherwin-Williams. I have used Sherwin-Williams and honestly, I just feel like, I just honestly feel like this is just as good. So we're gonna go ahead and paint the wall with this. We're just gonna do like an accent wall before we move on to the next part of the project.
I've been saving you, and you save me too. Yeah, I need it. Don't you need it too? 'Cause I got you.
So when I go in and paint, I usually do the first coat. I will do the trim and then I will roll because I like to see how far I need to go with the roller. Like if I do the trim first, then I'll know how far I need to go with rolling, like how far over on the wall or like towards the ceiling. But I'm just using a regular like paintbrush. But for the roller, I love to use the Valspar one, I believe it is, and it's the wall one. I just go ahead and get whatever one, like I like the fluffy ones. I feel like those do the best, but I go ahead and get whatever project I'm doing. Like if it's a cabinet or like a piece of furniture, I'll get the cabinet one. If it's the wall one, if I'm doing the wall, I'll get the wall one. I just go with whatever one it says, but I find that these work really great. I know in the past, like I've used cheaper ones and then they will leave like fuzz on the wall or whatever, and these ones do not do that.
Be free like a summer night. I'm feeling down, I don't know why. What an alibi. But I'm glad you're here.
Painting tip, you want to try and get the painter's tape off while your paint is still wet, because if your paint dries, sometimes the paint will peel off with it. I usually do it like when it's not too wet but not too dry either, kind of like that sweet spot. But if you're worried about it, take it off right away. I don't always take it off right away too, because if I know I'm going to be doing another coat, I'm not going to redo the tape. But just a little tip. All right, it's another day and the paint is all dry now. So we are looking for the studs because I knew I wanted to build a support for the cabinet. I'm doing this primarily on my own. My oldest, who's a teenager, is helping to an extent, but you know, he's not really familiar with stuff like this. And for the most part, I'm doing it myself. And I knew he would not be able to hold the cabinet steady enough and level enough. So I wanted to build a support for the cabinet so that when we put the cabinet on the wall, you basically are just resting the cabinet on this support. So like he still had to hold it there for me, right? So that I could screw it in. But the weight of the cabinet is on the support. He's kind of just making sure it doesn't topple over, right? So when I did a lot of research on this, that is kind of what I found. I also went to Lowe's and I bought wood cabinet screws. There is a specific screw for cabinets. I bought a box of cabinet screws so that, you know, I could use them in the cabinet to screw to the wall. And you always want to make sure that, especially something heavy duty like this that you're going to put stuff inside of, you want to make sure that you're screwing it into a stud.
You feel so far away, though you're close.
Okay, so I went to Home Depot and got this cabinet because the other one it stuck out too far. I got the other one for free, so I did end up having to pay for this one, which kind of sucks, but it wasn't too bad. It's already white because I didn't want to have to deal with painting it because I just want to be done with this project. But I went ahead and grabbed this. I will link it down below. I'll just have to add handles to it, which is fine because I was gonna do my own style of handles anyways. But this is just gonna look better aesthetically. The other one was just way too wide or like deep. I will be using that one for another project though, so somewhere else in the house. But yeah, so I went ahead and got this. Colby and I are going to hang this on the wall now. All right, so you saw me earlier putting a line of blue tape on the wall and marking the studs. I took that tape and I put it inside of the cabinet so I would know where I needed to screw the studs in from inside the cabinet, right? I literally just, I winged this I completely winged it. I didn't know. I just wanted to make sure that I hit those studs because I need it to be secure on the wall, because if you don't hit the studs, it will fall off the wall. So I put that tape inside, and that's how I knew where the studs were so that I could make sure that I was screwing into it. All right, now that I got the cabinet hung, that was a lot harder than I thought it was. It's a little bit higher than I would like because the cabinet itself is taller, but I have that outlet right there and I want to put a shelf, and I need to make sure there's some clearance for the shelf. So that's kind of the only option I had, but it's fine. I can still reach it. Not that big of a deal. But before we move on, I need to spackle because there are a lot of holes in the wall. If only this would focus. But this is the spackle I'm using. It's really easy to use. It goes on pink, I believe, and then dry. When it's dry, it's white. But I'm gonna use this spackle brush and just fill in all of these holes. There's a bunch of holes from where the other one was, the other rack was. There's some holes right there. I need to get this color paint as well, which I believe is Sherwin-Williams Frosty White is what I believe it's called. It's got a little gray tint to it. You can see the holes like right there, right there. There's the holes from the wood. So we're gonna spackle those before we move on to the next thing. So I actually ended up spackling twice because the holes were so big from those bracket things for the shelf that was there that even doing it once was just not enough. So you want to make sure whenever your spackle is completely dry that you go ahead and sand it, and that's how you're going to make it like flush with your wall so that you don't notice that you spackled any spots. This is like the most important step, I feel like, and spackling. I always over spackle, like I put too much on because I rather sand it down so that it's flush with the wall instead of having like the hole visible, if that makes any sense. And of course you want to make sure that you clean your wall before you start painting it or doing anything, because it's going to be messy from sanding and all that spackle. So I wanted to show you guys really quick. I got this cute little, it's called specifically, I believe it's called touch-up roller. So it's like just this little roller so I can touch up this stuff, and it was like $5 I think at Lowe's. So perfect for this project. Also, I have to touch up the paint right there. Sorry, the kids are in the background. But I have to touch up the paint right here. This is a flat paint. It's Sherwin-Williams Frosty White. I just got it in Valspar, but that's what the color is. That's what they painted the house. That we got to pick from like 3 different colors, and I chose this one. It's a flat paint, right? Which kind of sucks because you can't clean flat paint. What you can do, this is what the builder told me. You get a sponge, a paint sponge, and you dab, right? Whether it's like spots or like touch-ups like that. So this will be the first time I try this. If it works really great, then I'm gonna go through and do this one right here. And there's a lot of spots throughout my house that I'll do until I'm ready to like pay somebody to paint the whole house or paint it myself. But we're gonna go ahead and touch these things up now. All right, so verdict is I did not love this little paint roller. I feel like it's still, you could still tell I touched it up. So I ended up going in and doing one more coat with a big roller just to kind of like even it all out. It wasn't horrible, and it might be user error. Who knows? I'm not a great painter. I don't know the ins and outs, so it could have been user error, but either way, I probably won't do that again. I'll just do another regular paint roller. And then with the touching up the paint, worked great. However, I learned that Sherwin-Williams changes their colors so frequently, like they change the formula in their colors so frequently that it doesn't always touch up perfectly. So unfortunately, you can kind of tell that it is different, but only if I tell you and point it out. So this is the piece of wood that we are going to use to make the shelf. I actually already had this piece of wood in my garage, which worked out perfectly. I didn't have to buy any wood. Wood's so expensive right now, but I went ahead and I cut this piece of wood. My saw wasn't quite big enough, so I had to flip it over and cut it, but I've experienced this in the past. I already knew that I was gonna have to do this. I'm very comfortable using the saw. I hope I don't make anybody nervous watching this. I'm very comfortable doing it, and I knew I was safe. I'm wearing sunglasses too, so I'm protecting my eyes. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing, but we needed to cut this. I had to cut it a few times, not gonna lie, because I had to measure it out and I wanted it to fit snug to the wall. So I kind of measured it, but also brought the shelf upstairs to make sure. So probably cut it like 3 times, I'd say, and it ended up being perfect. But of course, we're going to stain it and put poly on it. So you wanna sand it and make sure it's all ready to go.
When I was looking into your eyes, wasn't love at first sight, and fire burning bright. But now I know what it was like coming home.
This is the stain I'm going to be using. It's the Miniwax one. It's simply white. I knew that I wanted to keep the shelf really light, and I knew I didn't want the shelf to be yellow, so I thought that this would be the perfect one. I also did a lot of research and looked at other projects that other people did to see what the finish would look like. I thought that this would be perfect, and honestly, it did. It ended up being completely perfect. I love how it turned out. It gave it just a touch, but it still kept the wood looking kind of like in its original state, which is exactly what I was looking for.
It didn't feel like thunder or lightning, but something struck me.
Now that the stain is all dry, I'm gonna go in with this poly. It's clear matte. I love using the clear matte because then you don't even really know it's on there. I only did the top of the shelf because I knew that the bottom is not going to be used, obviously, and with the clear matte finish, you can't tell that there's poly on it, so you wouldn't be able to tell that the bottom wasn't done. So instead of wasting my time and wasting product, I decided to just do the top and like the sides. Obviously I did as well, but I did 2 coats of poly. If I was going to be using this shelf for anything like, you know, cold glasses or anything that could possibly have condensation, I would go and do 3 to 4 coats. But since I knew I was going to be putting stuff on the shelf, but none of it is going to be like liquid directly on the shelf, I just did 2 coats.
It was like coming home. Yeah, it felt like coming home.
Next are these brackets that I got off Amazon. and they actually were a little too gold, and I found this can of spray in my garage, so it worked out perfectly because that's exactly the color I was going for, and that matches the brackets better on the cabinet that I bought. So I'm really resourceful. If you have things in your garage or in your shed or whatever, like really look through what you have before you go out buying things. But these brackets unfortunately were a little too gold, and I just gave them a quick spray paint and they ended up being perfect. But now we are going to get them on the wall, and once again I'm putting these brackets in studs, and the bracket in the middle was definitely a little off to the left a little bit so I could hit the stud, but honestly you can't even tell, and I don't even care if you could tell a little bit, just because hitting the studs is so important when you're doing projects like this, because it gives your shelves or cabinets stability. If you don't hit your studs, I mean, you can always anchor too. You can use anchors. I hate anchors and I always mess them up. So I try to always hit the stud. Now that I got the shelf all in place, it looks so great. I'm so pleased with how it's turning out. But I'm going to get the screws from the underneath of the shelf and the brackets all tied in together. All right, I got this pole to hang. I want to hang it from the cabinet to the wall, and then I can like put hangers on it and dry stuff on it. But I want to hang it from there to there, so we're going to go ahead and hang these so that we can know where to cut the pole. I need to know how short the pole needs to be, so I'm going to hang these first, and then we're going to start cutting the pole, which I'm nervous to do because I don't want to cut it too short and have to buy another pole, but we got to cut it and just go from there. So get those hung, cut the pole, and then we'll see. These are the handles that I got. I got them from Lowe's. They were a little pricey, but I only needed 2, so I figured I could splurge, and I really, really like them. And then they will match down there, but we've got to put the handles on. I'm super nervous to do this because I've never done this before, but we have this. I did some research. This is the drill bit I need to drill into the cabinet to make the holes for the screws. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. I'm gonna take this tape and I'm going to line it up from one end to the other, so I know exactly, dot the tape with the Sharpie, and then put the tape on the cabinet so I know where to drill the holes. And so it's perfect. So that's what we're gonna do, and crossing our fingers it works out well. All right, this was my first time ever doing like hardware on cabinets like this, and there were definitely some learning curves, and it wasn't as hard as I thought it would be, but anytime you do something new like this and you don't know what to expect or what you're doing, there's gonna be learning curves. Like the first cabinet, I came in from the back, or from the inside of the cabinet, should have came in from the outside. Learned that on the second one, but now I feel super confident in doing this next time.
Here's to the good days, here's to the sorrows. If this is a mistake, I know about tomorrow. I don't wanna fight no more, cause I don't feel the need no more, no. Just wanna make it stop.
Now it is time to start decorating. I got this glass jar from Walmart, super affordable. I think it was like maybe $5 to $7. I also picked up these wool dryer balls at Walmart as well, and they weren't very expensive either. And it's a 6-pack, so I just wanted to put these in this glass jar.
You start to get dressed and then we cry.
This little laundry box I got at Walmart as well. I love it. I think it's so cute. But I got this because I wanted to have a little container for lint so that we don't have to run to the trash every time. We can kind of just fill up this, and as it gets full, we'll just toss it. Especially now that my oldest does his laundry too. I figure it'll be an incentive to get him to empty the lint thing more often, let's be honest. I already had this basket, and I store a lot of like my microfiber stuff or like my mop heads. I store a lot of them in the laundry room, so I figured this basket would be perfect for that. And I like them being in the basket rather than the cabinet because I grab them so frequently. I also ordered these hangers off of Amazon. They're like velvet ones, super cute. I ordered this basket off of Amazon as well, and I knew I wanted something that would fit in between the washer and dryer because I put a lot of like the microfiber towels or like miscellaneous stuff in one random basket in my laundry room, and I wanted something that fit in between. So I don't have a lot of space in here, so I'm utilizing the space as best as I can. I bought this laundry sign like 2 years ago, not even kidding, when I originally was like, yeah, I'm gonna eventually do this room, this is cute. I like to pick things up randomly here and there, so I bought this sign literally like 2 years ago, and I'm finally utilizing it.
So let's call it a night, and that's why I wish you the best and say goodbye. You start to get dressed and then we cry, 'cause we both know it's gonna hurt, but not as much as this does. So baby, bye. It's for the best, and you know
I got this glass jar off of Amazon. It actually came in a set of 2, but I really only need 1 right now. I will find another use for the other one, don't worry. My washing machine though has a tank in it, and you can fill the tank up and then not have to fill up for every load of laundry. So I wanted a jar that was gonna be big enough to be like at least 1 tank's worth, so that I can just empty this out and, you know, use the big laundry detergent to fill this up.
Give me love, give me all your love, oh, 'cause I want you.
This rug I bought either at TJ Maxx or Ross, so I will try to see if I can find a link for it. I'm not sure that I will be able to though. All right, friends, here are some shots of the after. I am obsessed with how this room came out. It came out even better than what I envisioned, 100%. I love the style of this room. I love how it looks. And just as a little reminder, here is the before if you forgot what it started out looking like. I just love the aesthetic of it. It's beautiful. Thank you so much for being here and choosing to click on this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys on the next one.